The cold bites tonight. Not the gentle kind, but the sharp, angry cold that promises a long winter. Down on the streets, folks pull their shawls tight, their breath misting in the golden glow of the gaslights. But up here, inside Belle Lumiere, the cold doesn't exist. Here, silk and perfume and whispered lies keep everyone warm. This whole city is a masquerade, you see. Some people wear masks of lace and silk, others wear masks made of secrets and broken promises. And me? My name is Rosa Duval, and I wear my mask better than anyone. I stand on the second-floor balcony, watching the carriages rattle by. The night is still young. Soon these quiet halls will fill with the rustle of gowns and the low murmur of men who've come to spend their fortunes. Men who look at me like I'm another bottle of fine wine to be bought and uncorked. I know their hunger. I know their shame. I know the rules of this house, set by Madame Varenne. Her voice is like honey, but her rules are like shattered glass. And the first rule, the one I learned long ago, is that love is a lie. It's a pretty trap for fools, and I stopped being a fool a long, long time ago. The wind howls a little louder, a lonely sound that slips through the alleys. I turn from the window, my fingers smoothing the deep red silk of my gown. Time to put on the smile. Time to play the part. But then a sound from downstairs cuts through the quiet. The heavy oak door creaks open, and the footsteps that follow, they're different. Not the hurried, greedy steps of the usual clientele. These are slow, steady. The steps of a man who isn't sure where he is, but isn't afraid either. I don't know it yet, standing there in my silk cage. But everything is about to change. Because the man who just walked into Belle Lumiere isn't looking for a woman. He's looking for me. At first, I don't even bother to look up. Men are all the same. Their faces a blur of want and cheap cologne. But the silence stretches. It's the silence that gets me. Most men charge into Belle Lumiere like they're laying claim to a new land. This one? He just stands there. His worn boots are quiet on the polished floorboards. He's waiting. And nobody in this place just waits. I finally lift my gaze, and my breath catches in my throat. Because for the first time in a decade, a man is looking at me, and he isn't seeing something for sale. He's seeing someone. His name is Elias Carter. The lantern light catches the hard lines of his face, a face that's seen too much sun and too many sleepless nights. His coat is frayed, his shoulders are broad, and he looks like he's carried the weight of the world and then some. But it's his eyes that stop me cold. They aren't greedy. They aren't cruel. They're just tired and steady, searching for something. And when they land on me, it feels like he's looking right through the red silk gown, right through the practiced smile, and seeing the little girl I buried years ago. Madame Varenne glides forward, her voice a warm, practiced melody. "Can I help you, sir?" The man's gaze flicks to her, then snaps right back to me, just for a second. "I'm looking for work," he says. The words hang in the perfumed air, so out of place they might as well be a gunshot. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Of course, he's not a customer. He's just another drifter, another lost soul looking for a few coins. I almost turn away, dismiss him. But then Madame Varenne smiles her sharp, knowing smile. "What kind of work? Farmhand? Sailor?" She tilts her head, her eyes glittering as she gestures toward me. "Or perhaps you're looking for a different kind of work tonight?" The familiar, bitter taste of bile rises in my throat. This is the moment, the pivot. This is where he'll let his eyes slide over me, weigh the offer in his mind, and reveal the animal that lives inside every man. I brace for it, but he doesn't even glance my way. He shakes his head, his voice firm. "No, ma'am, I've had enough of taking." He pauses, his gaze sweeping the opulent room. "I just need honest work. For the first time in what feels like a lifetime, I feel a prickle of confusion. The script is wrong. He's not playing his part. I glance down at his hands. They're calloused and strong, but not from shuffling cards or holding whiskey glasses. They're the hands of a man who has labored. And then I see it. The way he stands, straight-backed, still, like a soldier at attention. "You fought in the war," I say. It's not a question. His jaw tightens, a flicker of some old pain in his tired eyes. A long time ago. I watch him, really watch him now, searching for the cracks I know are there. "And now you shovel dirt for a living?" He meets my gaze, and his is like granite. "I'd rather dig in the earth," he says, his voice low and rough, "than put any more men in it." And just like that, Elias Carter terrifies me. Because men in my world are simple. They are predators or they are prey. They are not quiet, steady men with hands that have known violence but now refuse to take. He is a dangerous man, not because he is cruel, but because he is a mystery. And mysteries make you hope. And hope is a luxury I can't afford. I tell myself he'll be gone in a week. They all leave eventually. But I'm wrong. Elias Carter isn't leaving. He just got here. Days turn into a week, and then two, and he's still here. Every time I glance down from the balcony, I see him. He's not a customer. He's not a threat. He's just there, a constant, unnerving presence in a world that's built on fleeting encounters. I watch him hauling crates of whiskey into the storeroom, his movements steady and efficient. The other hired men grumble and spit, gambling their meager wages away before they've even earned them. But not Elias. He just works. And when his day is done, he walks through the courtyard, looks up at my balcony, and gives me a simple nod. Not a leer, not a proposition, just a nod. And it unravels me more than any man's touch ever has. "He's watching you." I don't jump at Madame Varenne's voice beside me. I knew she'd notice. The woman notices everything. She steps up to the railing, her silk robe rustling, her eyes fixed on Elias below. She looks at him like a hawk studying a mouse, measuring his worth, calculating the threat. "What do you think he wants?" she asks, her voice deceptively casual. I shrug, feigning an indifference I don't feel. "The same thing they all want." Vereen lets out a low, knowing chuckle. "No, my dear, not this one." And she's right. That's the problem. Elias doesn't look at me with that raw animal hunger that I'm so used to. He looks at me like he's waiting for me to do something, to be someone I'm not. And that quiet expectation is a cage far more terrifying than this balcony. That night, sleep won't come. I lie in the dark, staring at the canopy above my bed, and the ghosts of the past creep out from the shadows. I remember the scratch of my first silk dress against my skin. The first time a man's hand, smelling of cigars and sweat, brushed my cheek. I remember being too young to understand why it felt like being branded. I remember the night I taught myself to stop crying, because tears were a currency with no value here. And I remember the day I shed my old name and became Rosa Duval, because the girl I was before, she had to die for me to survive. A floorboard creaks in the hall, and I'm on my feet in an instant, my heart hammering against my ribs. But it's just one of the other girls stumbling back to her room. I'm safe, for now. But with Elias Carter in this house, watching me with those steady, patient eyes, I don't feel safe at all. I feel seen. The next morning, I find him in the courtyard, brushing down one of the horses. I don't know what I'm going to say until the words are already out of my mouth. "You need to stop." He turns, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Stop what?" "Stop looking at me like that," I snap, my voice sharper than I intended. "Like I'm something I'm not." He puts the brush down, wiping his hands on a rag, and gives me his full attention. His gaze is unnervingly direct. "And what is it you think you are, Rosa?" A cold, brittle smile finds my lips. It's my armor. A woman who understands exactly how this world works. "And how's that?" he asks, his voice quiet. "Men take," I say, the words tasting like ash. "Women endure." He lets out a long breath, a sigh that seems to carry the sadness of 100 battles, and shakes his head. "That's not the way it's supposed to be." I laugh, a harsh, ugly sound. "Then you're a bigger fool than I thought." I turn to leave, to retreat to the safety of my gilded cage, but his voice stops me, soft but clear. "Or maybe," he says, "you've just never been given something without a price." His words follow me back up the stairs. They echo in the empty hallway, and they hammer against the walls I've built around my heart. Because the one thing in this world that Rosa Duval is truly afraid of is kindness. The days that follow are a blur of forced smiles and empty conversations. But underneath it all, Elias's words are a splinter in my mind. Given something without a price, it's a foreign language. Here, everything has a price. My time, my body, my soul. I watch him from the balcony, a silent observer of his quiet life. He mends a broken fence. He carries water from the well. He speaks gently to the horses. He exists in a world of simple, honest actions, a world I can barely remember. And with every steady movement, with every patient nod he sends my way, he chips away at my defenses. I find myself starting to remember things I'd locked away: the smell of my mother's baking, the sound of her laughter, the weight of her hand in mine, memories from before Belle Lumiere, before the masks. One afternoon, I'm arranging flowers in the main parlor when he walks in, carrying a crate of fresh linens. The other girls scatter, their giggles echoing down the hall, but I stand my ground. He sets the crate down, his movements careful, and then he does something unexpected. He reaches into his worn coat and pulls something out. A small, slightly crushed wildflower. A black-eyed Susan. He holds it out to me. "I saw it growing by the road," he says simply. "It reminded me of the sun." My hand trembles as I take it. The petals are so fragile. No one has given me a flower since... I can't even remember. My throat feels tight. "Why are you doing this?" I whisper, my voice raw. "Why are you being kind to me?" Elias looks at me, and for the first time, I see something beyond the weariness in his eyes. I see a deep, unshakable purpose. "Because someone has to be," he says, "and because you deserve it." He turns and leaves before I can find a reply, before I can throw the flower back in his face and tell him I don't need his pity. I'm left standing there, the scent of perfume and whiskey filling my lungs, clutching a simple yellow wildflower that feels heavier than gold. And in that moment, I hate him for it. I hate him for making me feel something, for reminding me that there's a world outside these walls. And for the first time, I wonder if I have the courage to see it. That night, the memory of the flower haunts me. It sits in a glass of water on my nightstand, a spot of defiant sunshine in the gloom of my room. I try to dismiss it, to tell myself it was a calculated move, another man's trick to get what he wants. But I know it's not true. Elias Carter wants something, but it's not what other men want. He wants to save me. And the terrifying part is, a small piece of me wants to be saved. The next day, I feel a restlessness I haven't felt in years. I need to get out. I need to breathe air that isn't thick with perfume and desperation. So I do something I haven't done in ages. I leave. I tell Madame Verine I'm going to the dressmaker's, a lie she accepts with a knowing, indulgent smile. The moment I step out onto the street, the city hits me like a physical blow. It's too loud, too bright, too full of life. Carriages clatter on the cobblestones, vendors shout their wares, and people, so many people, hurry past, their faces a mix of worry and purpose. It's overwhelming. I feel exposed, like a creature of the dark suddenly thrust into the light. I pull my shawl tighter and just walk, letting my feet carry me without a destination. I walk for what feels like hours, past bakeries and taverns and storefronts displaying things I'll never own. And then I hear a sound that cuts through the noise of the city. Bells, church bells. I follow the sound, and it leads me to a small stone chapel tucked away on a side street. The heavy wooden doors are propped open, and a warm, candlelit glow spills out onto the pavement. I stop. I haven't been inside a church since I was a little girl, holding my mother's hand, feeling small and safe. A wave of an emotion so old I can't name it washes over me. Hesitantly, I step inside. It's quiet. The air smells of old wood and melting wax. An old woman with kind, wrinkled eyes is tending to the candles near the altar. She looks up and gives me a gentle smile. "Come to say a prayer, child?" I shake my head, my voice catching in my throat. I don't pray anymore." The woman nods slowly, her gaze soft and understanding. "Sometimes," she says, her voice a low, comforting hum, "you don't have to say the words. Sometimes you just have to be still and listen." I don't stay. The quiet is too loud, the stillness too unsettling. I turn and flee back into the chaos of the city, back to the world I understand. But as I walk back toward Belle Lumiere, the feeling of the chapel lingers, the scent of candles, the quiet peace, the memory of my mother's hand. When I get back, Elias is in the courtyard, fixing a loose hinge on the gate. He looks up as I approach, and he doesn't ask where I've been. He just looks at the wildflower I'd tucked into my dress, and a small, sad smile touches his lips. But before he can speak, he stumbles slightly, catching himself against the gatepost. Something small and metallic falls from his pocket, landing in the dirt with a soft clink. It's a locket. A simple, tarnished silver locket. He snatches it up instantly, his movements quick and furtive, shoving it back into his pocket. But it's too late. I saw it. And for the briefest of moments, I saw it swing open, and I saw the tiny faded picture inside. It was a woman, a young woman with a gentle smile and eyes that looked hauntingly familiar. In fact, they looked exactly like mine. The image is burned into my mind, the woman in the locket. Her smile, her eyes, it was like looking at a ghost, my ghost. A version of me that never had to learn to build walls, a version of me that was allowed to be soft. Who was she? And why was Elias Carter, a man I'd only just met, carrying her picture in a tarnished silver locket hidden in his pocket? The question consumes me. For the next few days I watch him with a new intensity. Every quiet nod, every steady gaze now seems loaded with a secret. The mystery of him has deepened, and I find myself obsessed with solving it. I need to know. One afternoon, while he's out running an errand for Madame Varenne, I do something I've never done before. I slip into the small, bare room off the stables where he sleeps. My heart hammers against my ribs. This is a dangerous game. But I have to know. His room is simple, almost monastic. A narrow cot, a small wooden crate for a table, and a handful of meager possessions. There's nothing here, just the worn clothes he owns, a straight razor, and a tattered old Bible on the crate. Disappointment washes over me. I was so sure I'd find something, some clue. I'm about to leave when I notice the Bible again. I run my hand over the cracked leather cover. Acting on an impulse I don't understand, I open it. The pages are worn, the verses underlined in faded pencil. And tucked between the pages of the Book of Psalms is a single, pressed flower. A black-eyed Susan, just like the one he gave me. My fingers tremble as I lift it. It's so old. The color has faded to a pale, ghostly yellow. And beneath it, on the page, a name is written in delicate feminine handwriting. Susanna. The name feels like a punch to the gut. Susanna. I stumble back, my hand flying to my mouth. It can't be. It's a common enough name. It has to be a coincidence. But I know it's not. There are no coincidences in a place like this. Susanna was my mother's name. A name I haven't heard spoken aloud since the day she left me on Madame Verine's doorstep. A name I haven't dared to speak myself. My world tilts on its axis. Elias Carter isn't just some random drifter. He's not here by chance. He knew my mother. He knows who I am. Or rather, who I was. Rosalind, not Rosa. My real name. The name of the girl who died the day she was sold. I feel the walls of the tiny room closing in on me. I can't breathe. This man, this quiet, steady man, isn't just a mystery. He's a ghost from a past I've spent my entire life trying to escape. And he has brought it all flooding back. I have to get away from him. I have to run. I storm out of his room, the pressed flower still clutched in my fist. I find him in the courtyard, just as he's returning. I don't wait for him to speak. I hold out my hand, my voice shaking with a rage that's been buried for 15 years. Who is Susanna? His face goes pale. The weariness in his eyes is replaced by a flash of something I can't read. Panic? Regret? He opens his mouth, but no words come out. Don't lie to me, I hiss, stepping closer. I saw the locket. I found the flower in your Bible. You knew her. You knew my mother. He finally looks at me, his expression shuddered. Rosa, you don't understand. Then make me understand, I scream, the sound raw and desperate. Why are you here? What do you want from me? He takes a step toward me, his hands held up in a placating gesture. I came here to find you, to tell you the truth. The truth? I've lived my whole life wrapped in lies. The truth is a word that has no meaning for me anymore. He's too close. The secret he holds is too big. It threatens to shatter the fragile peace I've made for myself, and I can't let that happen. So I do the only thing I know how to do. I run. I shove past him, ignoring his calls, and race up the stairs to my room. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely work the clasps on my small travel bag. I throw a few belongings inside, a change of clothes, the small pouch of coins I've managed to save over the years. I don't know where I'm going. I just know I can't stay here. I can't face him. I can't face the ghost of my mother. I creep down the back stairs, my heart pounding with every step. The stable is quiet. I saddle the fastest horse, my movements clumsy with haste. As I lead the horse out into the dark alley, a voice stops me. Don't go. It's Elias. He's standing in the shadows, blocking my path. His face is etched with sorrow. Please, Rosa, just let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I say, my voice cold and flat. You should have stayed away. I try to push past him, but he gently takes the horse's reins. Her name was Susanna Duval, he says softly, and she loved you more than anything in this world. A sob catches in my throat, hot and sharp. You're lying. I'm not, he insists, his eyes pleading with me. Everything you think you know is a lie, but not that. Never that. But I can't hear him. I won't hear him. The past is a monster, and I will not let it devour me. I rip the reins from his hand, swing myself into the saddle, and kick the horse into a gallop. I ride out of the city, leaving Belle Lumiere and Elias Carter and the ghost of Susanna behind me. I ride hard and fast into the darkness, with only one thought in my mind: run. I ride like the devil himself is on my heels. The wind whips at my face, tearing the pins from my hair. I don't care. I push the horse harder, faster, urging it onward into the blackness of the countryside. I'm not just running from Elias. I'm running from the name Susanna, from the face in the locket, from the little girl named Rosalind who believed her mother would come back for her. Every beat of the horse's hooves on the hard-packed earth is a drumbeat pounding in my head. Run, run, run. I've been running my whole life, but this time feels different. This time I'm not just running from a place. I'm running from myself. And that's a race you can never win. Blinded by tears and panic, I don't see the patch of loose gravel on the darkened road. The horse's front legs buckle. A terrified whinny rips through the night air, and then the world is tumbling. Sky, ground, trees, all of it a dizzying, violent blur. I'm thrown from the saddle, hitting the earth with a sickening thud that knocks the breath from my lungs. Pain explodes in my side, sharp and blinding. I try to cry out, but all that comes out is a choked gasp. I lie there, tangled in the dry grass, the world spinning around me. My vision blurs. The last thing I see before the darkness swallows me whole is a pair of dusty boots walking steadily toward me. The last thing I hear is a familiar low voice calling my name, my real name. Rosalind. I wake to the smell of wood smoke and pine. For a moment, I'm disoriented, confused. This isn't my room at Belle Lumiere. The bed is soft, the blankets are heavy and warm. A fire crackles cheerfully in a stone hearth across the room. I'm in a small, rustic cabin. I try to sit up, and a sharp pain in my ribs makes me cry out. "Easy now," a voice says. Elias. He's sitting in a chair by the fire, watching me. His face is grim, his eyes full of a worry that looks so real it makes my chest ache. He gets up and comes to the bedside, holding out a cup of water. "You took a bad fall." I take the cup, my hand shaking. "You followed me," I state, my voice raspy. He nods. "I couldn't let you go. Not like that." The silence in the cabin is thick with unspoken words. The questions I'm too afraid to ask. The answers he's been waiting to give. I look at him, at this man who has turned my world upside down. "You need to tell me everything," I whisper. "No more secrets." He pulls the chair closer to the bed and sits down. He takes a deep breath, like a man about to dive into deep, cold water. "Your mother, Susanna," he begins, his voice low and steady. "I knew her, but I knew your father better." I flinch. My father. The man Madame Verine told me was a no-good drunk who died in a gutter before I was even born. "His name was Sergeant Thomas Duval," Elias says, and the name sounds foreign and strange. "He wasn't a drunk. He was a hero, and he was my friend. He saved my life during the war." He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the tarnished silver locket, placing it gently in my hand. "He was killed in action. The day he died, he made me promise him two things. First, that I would find you and your mother, and second, that I would give you this." He then pulls out a folded, yellowed piece of paper from his wallet. A letter. "He wrote this for you, Rosalind, for your 16th birthday." My fingers tremble as I take the letter. I can't bring myself to open it. Not yet. My whole life I've believed my father abandoned me, that he was a source of shame, and now this stranger is telling me he was a hero? It's too much to take in. "My mother," I say, my voice barely a whisper. "Why did she sell me? If my father left us money—" Elias's face darkens. The sadness in his eyes deepens into something harder. Anger. "That's the part you're not going to want to hear," he says grimly. "When I finally tracked your mother down, years after the war, she was sick, destitute. I gave her the money your father left, but it was too late for her. But she told me where to find you. She told me you were safe. She said you were being raised by her sister." My blood runs cold. My mother had a sister? "Who?" I ask, dreading the answer I already know is coming. Elias looks me straight in the eye, his gaze unflinching. "A woman named Verine." The name hangs in the air like a death sentence. Verine, Madame Verine, my aunt, the woman who bought me, the woman who raised me in a cage of silk and lies. The woman who told me my own mother abandoned me for a handful of coins. It all crashes down on me at once. The lies, the manipulation, the sheer calculated cruelty of it. Vereen didn't just take me in, she stole me. She stole my inheritance. She stole my mother from me, and me from my mother. She let my mother die alone and heartbroken, believing I was safe, while she twisted me into the thing I am today. A sob, raw and guttural, tears its way out of my chest. It's a sound of 15 years of grief, of anger, of betrayal. It's the sound of a heart breaking all over again. Elias doesn't say anything. He just sits there, a silent, steady presence while my world shatters around me. The woman I hated, my entire life, was my mother's sister, my own flesh and blood. She fed on my pain, built her empire on my stolen childhood. The anger that follows the grief is a white-hot fire. It burns away the tears, burns away the fear, burns away every last trace of the broken woman named Rosa Duval. She is gone. In her place, something new is forged, something hard and sharp and unbreakable. Rosalind Duval, Sergeant Thomas Duval's daughter, and she is not going to run anymore. She is going back, and she is going to burn Belle Lumiere to the ground. I finally find the strength to open my father's letter. The paper is brittle with age, the ink faded but still legible. His handwriting is strong and clear. He writes of the war, of his love for my mother, and of his hopes for me, his little Rosalind. He tells me to be strong, to be kind, and to never let the world break my spirit. Reading his words, I feel a connection to a man I never knew, a father I was taught to despise. He wasn't a ghost or a source of shame. He was real, and he loved me. This letter is proof. It's the one truth in a life built of lies. I look up at Elias, the letter clutched in my hand. The fire of vengeance is burning in my eyes. She has to pay for what she did, I say, my voice low and dangerous. She has to pay for everything. Elias nods slowly, his expression grim but resolute. I know, and I'll help you. We spend the next 2 days in the cabin, letting my bruised ribs heal and forming a plan. For the first time, I'm not just reacting, not just surviving. I am planning. I am hunting. Elias, with his soldier's mind, helps me strategize. He thinks in terms of attack and defense, of weaknesses and strengths. I know Belle Lumiere from the inside out. I know Vereen's routines, her habits, her secrets. I know where she keeps her ledgers, the ones that detail every transaction, every dirty secret of the most powerful men in the city. The ledgers that will prove she stole my father's money. Together, we are an army of 2. But we know we need more. We need an ally on the inside. And I know just who to turn to. A young woman named Clara, one of the newer girls. Vereen treats her with a special kind of cruelty. I've always kept my distance from the other girls. But I've seen the defiance in Clara's eyes. She hates Vereen as much as I do. She will help us. Returning to the city feels different this time. I'm not Rosa Duval, the prized possession of Belle Lumiere, returning to her cage. I am Rosaline Duval, a daughter seeking justice, walking back into the lion's den to slit the lion's throat. We sneak back into the city under the cover of darkness. Elias finds us a room in a small, discreet boarding house not far from the brothel. The next day, he goes to Belle Lumiere, pretending to be looking for me, saying I sent word that I was ill and staying with family for a few days. It's a risk, but it buys us time. While he distracts Vereen, I slip into the alley behind the house. As we planned, Clara leaves a back window unlocked. My heart pounds as I climb inside. The house is quiet, the air thick with the familiar scent of stale perfume. I move silently through the halls that were once my prison, every step fueled by a cold, clear rage. I make my way to Vereen's office. The door is locked, of course, but I've watched her unlock it 1,000 times. I know where she hides the key. under a loose floorboard right outside the door. My fingers close around the cold metal. I'm in. The office is as opulent and suffocating as the rest of the house. I go straight to her desk, my hands searching for the hidden compartment where she keeps the real ledgers. I find the small hidden button under the lip of the desk. A panel slides open, revealing several leather-bound books. I grab them, my heart soaring. This is it, the proof. But as I turn to leave, I hear footsteps in the hall, fast, heavy footsteps, and they're coming right for the office. I freeze. I've been discovered. The doorknob begins to turn. There's nowhere to hide. The door swings open, and I find myself face to face with Madame Verraine, and she is not smiling. Her eyes, usually glittering with false warmth, are now chips of ice. "Looking for something, my dear?" she asks, her voice dripping with venom. Behind her stand two of the brutish thugs she keeps on her payroll. I'm trapped. My mind races. I clutch the ledgers to my chest. This can't be how it ends. Verraine takes a step into the room, a cruel smirk twisting her lips. "Did you really think you could defy me? You foolish, ungrateful girl. I made you. I gave you everything." "You gave me nothing," I spit back, my voice shaking but defiant. "You stole everything from me. My name, my family, my life." A flicker of surprise crosses her face, quickly replaced by rage. "So, the little soldier found you," she sneers. "He should have stayed dead, just like your pathetic father." She signals to her men. "Get the books, and lock her in the cellar. She needs to be reminded of her place." The men lunge forward, but before they can reach me, the window behind me shatters. Elias crashes into the room, a piece of firewood gripped in his hand like a club. He moves with a speed and ferocity I've never seen before. He is no longer the quiet handyman. He is a soldier again. He takes down one of the thugs with a swift, brutal blow. The other one turns on him, and they engage in a desperate, violent struggle. Verraine shrieks in fury, grabbing for the ledgers. I hold on tight, and we wrestle for them, a grotesque tug-of-war over the secrets of my past. "They're mine!" she screams, her painted face contorted with hate. "Everything you are is because of me." I shove her away with all my strength. She stumbles back, tripping over an ornate rug and crashing into a heavy bookshelf. Books and trinkets rain down around her. At the same time, Elias lands a final, decisive blow, and the second thug slumps to the floor, unconscious. The room is suddenly silent, except for our ragged breaths. Elias comes to my side, his face bruised but resolute. We have the ledgers. We have the proof. We look at Verraine, who is struggling to her feet amidst the debris, her perfect hair disheveled, her mask of control finally shattered. Her eyes are wild with hatred. "You will never get away with this," she hisses. "I own this city. I own you." "Not anymore," I say, my voice clear and steady. "The fight isn't over. Not yet. The most powerful men in the city are due to arrive for the evening's entertainments any minute. Exposing Verraine to her thugs is one thing. Exposing her to her clients, the men whose secrets give her power, is another. We have to end this. Tonight. Right now. We don't have much time." I look at Elias. "Bar the door," I command. "Everyone is about to get a show they didn't pay for." As Elias shoves the heavy desk against the office door, I turn my attention to Verraine. She's backed into a corner now, her eyes darting around like a trapped animal. The power she wielded for so long is useless here. "It's over, Verraine," I say, my voice devoid of emotion. "You're going to tell them all what you did." A hysterical laugh bubbles out of her. "They won't believe you. You're nothing but a whore I picked up off the street." "I'm not nothing," I say, stepping closer. "I am Rosalind Duval, and you are my aunt, my mother's sister. You stole me, you lied to me, and you left my mother to die alone. And tonight, everyone will know it." The sound of voices and laughter begins to drift up from the parlor downstairs. The guests are arriving. It's time. I grab a heavy brass candlestick from the mantelpiece. I don't look at Verraine. I look at the ornate mirror hanging on the wall, and with a cry that comes from the very depths of my soul, I swing the candlestick and shatter it into 1,000 pieces. The sound echoes through the house like a gunshot. The voices downstairs fall silent. Then footsteps on the stairs, a pounding on the office door. "Madame Verine, what's going on?" I turn to Elias. "Let them in." He pulls the desk away from the door. A half-dozen of the city's most prominent citizens, judges, councilmen, merchants, spill into the room, their faces a mixture of confusion and alarm. They stop dead when they see the scene. The two unconscious thugs on the floor. Verine, disheveled and wild-eyed, and me, standing there with the ledgers in my arms. I don't give anyone a chance to speak. My voice, clear and strong, rings out in the sudden silence. I tell them everything. I tell them my real name. I tell them about my father, Sergeant Thomas Duval, and the inheritance Verine stole. I hold up the locket, the letter, and then I open the ledgers. I read aloud the entries, the names, the dates, the secret debts and illicit dealings that have kept these powerful men under Verine's thumb for years. With every word, I feel her power crumbling to dust. The men look from me to Verine, their faces pale with shock and fear. Their secrets are out. Her hold on them is broken. Verine makes one last, desperate lunge for the books, but it's over. Her reign is finished. The patrons, seeing their own ruin in those pages, turn on her. The illusion of Belle Lumiere is shattered forever. Justice, swift and terrible, has finally come. In the chaos that follows, Verine is ruined. Stripped of her secrets, she has no power left. The men she controlled turn their backs on her, eager to distance themselves from the scandal. Within a week, Belle Lumiere is shut down, its assets seized. Verine vanishes, rumored to have fled the city with what little she could carry, destined for the same desperate fate she inflicted on my mother. But I don't care where she went. My focus is on the women she left behind. Using the last of my father's money, the money Elias had kept safe for me all these years, I buy the deed to the house. Not to continue the business, but to end it. Belle Lumiere is transformed. It becomes a boarding house, a safe haven for the women of the city who have nowhere else to go, a place where they can learn a trade, save some money, and start a new life, a place that offers them a choice, the one thing I never had. Months later, I stand on that same second-floor balcony. The air is warm now, filled with the scent of spring blossoms instead of the bite of winter. The house behind me is filled not with the whispers of secrets, but with the sounds of women learning, laughing, living. My name is Rosaline, and I am finally free. Elias steps up beside me, leaning against the railing. We don't speak much about the future. We don't have to. The bond between us was forged in truth and justice. It's quieter than passion, but infinitely stronger. He reaches over and takes my hand. His is still calloused from work, but to me it feels like home. We stand together, watching the city below. It's still a place of masks, of light and shadow, but it no longer feels like a prison. It feels like a beginning. Rosalind finally reclaimed her name and found justice for her family, turning a place of pain into a beacon of hope. But what do you think happened next for her and Elias? Did they build a new life together right there, or did they seek out a quieter life somewhere new? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story of betrayal and redemption, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.